When you ask for something, you either get that thing or you get what's in between you and that thing. Hear that again. When you ask for something, you either get that thing or you get what's between you and that thing. And some past part of my life resurfaced yesterday in a hilarious way. And that's one of the joys of going through the journal. Embodied Law of Attraction Journal, fourth edition, Shannon White. Get in here. And really join me on Telegram because that's where you're getting the most updated, best revised, most current way to move through this. And I will be revising this again based on what's in there. Links to both are in the description. So that's one of the joys of going through this wonderful journal is these things that start to come up become artifacts. And instead of getting lost in them, you get to explore them and look at them like, ooh, what's inside this? So this story from my history has a lot of charge to it. There are a few different places that I'm going to explore. And I really want the power that's in this story. It is about another person. It really has nothing to do with that person. That person is holding up something to me that's showing me parts of myself, and they are directly related to the desires that I've been talking about in these videos. So that's what I want to access. That's what's exciting. That's what's interesting. And if I just bypassed all that and was like, no, I'm just going to pay attention to the good stuff, I'm missing all of that charge. There's so much charge in it. I'm missing all of that charge, all of that power. And I want that power back, baby. I also want to say when I record these, I go back and listen to them myself. And there are cringy moments when I'm listening that I'm like, oh, I sound whiny or oh, I sound annoying or but that's actually important. And that's something the journal helps you do too, is when you're diving into something to regain the power from it, you have to let it be what it is. I've been having conversations with a friend recently about I listened to a podcast called Petty Crimes. I love it. And I was telling my friend this, and then she and I have been talking about our petty crimes that we do in the world. And we have to own that feeling of pettiness, as an example, in order to understand what's in it, in order to gain access to what's in it. Maybe you've seen the video of there's a guy with a tuning fork and he hits it on something and that thing vibrates, and then there's something that's standing separately and that thing stands still. And then when he hits the vibration that matches the other thing, then it vibrates. So when you match the frequency of something, that is the most powerful way to help it move. So matching it means like feel the pettiness, feel the parts of you that are annoying, feel the parts of you that are jealous, angry, grieving, sad, all of that. So I'm allowing myself to continue to be vulnerable and continue to let myself show up in these ways so that I can clear my path, clear the path to me of all the things I want. I will say, as a quick side note, I feel when I envision or imagine, picture, whatever, these things that I want these last few days, they feel like there. They don't feel like a distant thing. They feel like they're right here. So I love that. And this story is going to be a big access point to clear debris that's standing between me and my desires. There's this man that I know, and he was a student of mine when I used to teach polarity therapy, craniosacral therapy, and massage. At that school, it was very common for the polarity and cranial teachers to assist in each other's classes or intern or just be in them. So I saw him in a lot of classes, but I think he was only in one of my classes. Interestingly, it was the class that challenged me the very most in all of my teaching years. And it was not related to him, but it's interesting that that's the space he was in with me. And it was like this 6 week class, and I was not connected to the material. I was not connected to the students. It was hard. And that was one of the contributing factors to me stopping teaching polarity therapy for a while. I just wasn't connected to it in the same way. And then I came back in for a blip and then moved on and have been doing my own thing since. So he was in that class, and fast forward a few years, again, I kind of stopped teaching in that realm. He stopped being a student there because he was done. And he apparently went off and was doing a lot of breathwork trainings, and I was off exploring the world, taking workshops, becoming a student again. So come to a few years later, and this has now been a few years ago. So I don't know when he started this, but on his Instagram, he's obviously started a business, and he has started doing these breathwork workshops. So they're one weekend, people come in and do this breath work. And a lot of the videos are him talking about the nervous system. So my first charge is starting to come up. I was talking about this in a previous video, and this is actually the person I was thinking of when I was talking about this. So it's funny that he's back in my realm now, so to speak. He he's a Scorpio. He's very magnetic just as a person. And so his videos, like, you want to watch them. You want to see what he's saying. But when I would watch them, I was magnetized, but I also was just like, he is not so here's like my annoying side coming out. He is not experienced enough in this to speak to it with such authority. And there's a difference when people have embodied experience versus knowledge. And I'm like, he's speaking from the place of knowledge, but he doesn't have embodied experience. And I do. Like, so the way he would talk about it just felt very elementary to me. And I found that frustratingly annoying. Obviously, it worked well for many, 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 many thousands of people because they would follow him and watch his videos and come to his workshops. So that even more added to my annoyance. How dare they? They don't know what they're listening to. He would, whatever. He was fine, but I was jealous. So jealousy and envy are similar. In both cases, you want what the other person has, but in the case of jealousy, you don't think they should have it. And sometimes you want to take it from them. So, jealousy, first, first flag. Let's keep going. So because I would watch him and be annoyed and be angry and be jealous, of course, he would be the first person who pop up on my feed, and I would see his stuff, and I'm like, this is just so superficial, so superficial. So finally, I stopped following him. This was on Instagram because I'm like, that's not what I'm trying to show up for. I'm not trying to show up to places just to make myself angry and jealous and whatever. So I stopped following him. Then I saw him. So we were living in the Phoenix area, or well, at the time he was in my classes. We were in the Phoenix area. Then he was living in Sedona, and then he would like come back down sometimes. So I saw him out at a coffee shop, and we said hello, moving on. This was in 2020 actually, because then he told me about his friend who was a trainer, and then I started working with that trainer, and that was in 2020. So Then, I don't know how long later, months, weeks, days, he called me or he messaged me on Instagram. And he's like, "Oh, hey, I would love to pick your brain. Can I take you out for a coffee and, pick your brain?" And I was like, "Sure." So we made a date to go to that same location where I had run into him. And he didn't pay for my coffee. I got there before him, so I bought my own coffee. Fine. He wanted to talk to me about these workshops he was doing and how they're not landing the way that he wanted. So this is my zone of genius, one of them. I love helping people build curriculum, put together workshops, troubleshoot what's going off in a space. Like if you're teaching something and it's not landing the way you want, I can help you diagnose that and like find the fix. I can help you come up with new ways to present, like if you have material like to one person versus 200. I can help with that. Like I love that. If I could just play in that world all the time, I would be a very, very happy human being. I would be vital, excited, energetic, joyful. Just saying that, I feel emotional. Like I love it. I love it. So an opportunity to go do that is very exciting to me. Yes. Yes. I'm a yes. And I'm like, I'm a yes for free or supposed cup of coffee because I'm just excited to do that. So I feel I'm a person who naturally feels generous until we start talking about price tags. Like that, then I'm like, what? I'll tell you what I'll demonstrate what I mean through the story. So I'm a yes, I go, let's talk about it. He's telling me about his first, just generally about his classes. This is what I've been doing. I told him I've seen some of it online. He told me how he's, structured it like this, but the result he keeps getting with his people in the space is this. Why is that happening? So we're dialoguing about it. I haven't been in his space, so I'm not seeing it unfold. So it takes a little more, like now I'm taking in your perspective and using that to see the picture of what's going on and we're finding our way. And I've said before, I'm a kinesthetic processor, so it's not always like the things at the tip of my tongue or brain. I take it in, it swirls through me, integrates, and then I'm like, oh, I think the answer is this. So we were kind of pulsing in and out. We were talking about that, dialoguing, troubleshooting, coming out of it, talking about something else, going back in. We found the very likely problem. We were probably at this coffee for a couple hours. And he's like, "Oh, that's it." He said that. "Oh, that's it. That's what's going on." Great. He said, "God, I really wish you could come be in the class." So my interpretation of that was to come be in the class in order to help him troubleshoot or see what's going on and help him diagnose and like make a change. And to be fair, from my years later perspective now, possibly he just meant he wanted me to come be a student. Very probably, actually. But I interpret it in the frame of this conversation that he meant like, oh, I wish you could just come be in the class. I wish you could come be in the class. I interpreted that as he wants me to go into his class and diagnose what's going on. So I was like, I would love to. And then a few beats later, when we're talking about it, I said something about observing. And he's like, no, 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 not observe, like, do the class. So I'm still thinking would potentially be there to help him break down the dynamics. And so then a few more beats go by, he says something else, and suddenly it's clear he thinks I'm paying him to be in the class, which I just as at a personal level, like would he was charging $1,200 for it. He was making five figures a weekend, high five figures, and he was going to be upping his price, I think doubling it for the next time he was coming, like the next time he was putting it on. And I think he was doing these once a month. So he was making six figures easy, and he was making five figures a weekend. And clearly he, like whatever he said, I was like, oh, he thinks I'm paying for the class. And I was like, I don't have money to take your class. Like that's how I said it. And I didn't say this, but I wouldn't pay for that. I wouldn't pay to go do that. Like I will pay money for things, but not that. That's not interesting to me. If I'm going to do breath work, like I'll go hire a person one-on-one. I don't need to do this big workshop where everybody's like the breathing together and trauma releasing and no. So, and I don't need to learn anything from you about the nervous system. So I go, let me just to recap. I go, oh, I don't have money to pay for your class. And he was like, oh, well, let me see if I can think of something that would feel like a fair exchange. And now suddenly the energy has shifted, and it seems like I'm asking him for something, not just asking, but begging. Like I'm now begging him for something that I don't even want. And by the way, he has asked me for something for free. He has brought me here for free to pick my brain on something that he's making five to six figures doing a weekend. I'm here for free. And now suddenly this energy has shifted, and now it seems like I'm begging him for a free spot in his class. And I'm like, what? And it just got really funky after that. Like his energy shifted, the whole thing. It was yeah, so again, he's like, well, let me let me see if I can think of a way that might feel like a fair exchange. I mean, how about I charge you $600 an hour for my consultation fee? How about that? Uh, and then we stayed for a little bit longer. I don't know how long, because I was just like suddenly lost in this weird switch up. And then when we were parting, he did say like, "Oh yeah, I'll get in touch and see if there's, a way that you could come." And he never did, and I never did, because I'm like, I don't even want to go to your class. Like I would love to go to be the and I would have done that for free. I would have gone to his class without charging him money to consult on like what is going off in his workshops, according to the result he wants. I would have just shown up. And I'm not saying that's right. I'm not saying that that's a right answer, but I just, like you invite me into something that is like where I want to live, and like I want to be there. I want to be in that energy. I want to be in the co-creation. I love that place. So that was really stinky and funky. And then that was it. And then I was like bitching about that for months. I was telling people about it and asking for people on my side, and, recruiting people that used to teach him and telling them my story. Friends of mine, friends of mine. But then yesterday, he pops up on my Facebook feed and he's getting engaged. Fine. And he's moving to my state. He's going to be an hour from where I live. And it's so funny. And I'm like, because of all this charge I have, I'm going to run into this guy, aren't I? I betcha. I betcha I'm going to run into him because he's like the last person I want to see. So this story has so much in it related to like my desires and things that have gone off related to that. So that's why I wanted to explore it. So I'm going to go back to the jealousy part, and I don't have this fully fleshed out, but I'm just going to speak to it and circle back to it. And as I've stated, I am a kinesthetic processor, an emotional authority in human design. Like it helps me to kind of get it out and then be with it and then see what rises up. So, jealousy. The two questions when breaking down the energy inside jealousy that you want access to. What do they have that I want? And what do they have that I think they shouldn't have? Or why do I think they shouldn't have it? So, what do they have? This is is this embarrassing? Maybe. What do they have that I want? So what is in this story or in my knowing of him, what does he have that I want? Magnetism, just natural magnetism. People are attracted to him easily, fluidly, and that translates obviously into his work and his like videos and business and all of that. So magnetism. I want magnetism. Connections. I know part of his success is related to who he knows. He knows multiple multi-seven figure entrepreneurs, coaches, business people. I know he had a co-founder with his work, so he was like the face, and then the other guy was doing more of the marketing and the recording and all of that. Like, I've talked about my desire for help. So like connections and help, like knowing people who are excited to help put my stuff forward, or they have a skill that I don't have and are excited to collaborate with me for co-success. Co-success. Magnetism, connections, and I mean the audience, and I think the audience comes through those two avenues for him, but thousands of people that are interested and excited to watch my videos, listen to what I say, come learn from me, follow in my footsteps, have access to the things that I know and do and have that I share. Now, because in this case it's jealousy, why do I think he shouldn't have it? I would say, I mean, part of it is I'm I'm jealous of the ease with which it seems to have come to him. And I don't know that it was easeful. I don't know that. It just looks like that. So maybe that's another thing that I just want. It's not something I don't think he should have, but the easefulness. Like, oh yeah, this step to this step to this step. That's what I'm doing here with you guys, is I'm finding those next steps through a version of the work that I have. And the reason I don't think he should have it, and let me clarify this for like in myself. It's not that I don't think he should have it. It's that I don't think he should have it and I don't. I don't feel like I mean, at this point, we're 6 years later, so I can't say, but at the time, I don't feel like he's earned it. I feel like he took as a student, I mean, this is why he took me out to coffee in the first place, in my opinion, but he took as a student all these breathwork classes, but he didn't lead people in them. Like maybe he was a practitioner, but he just kind of mimicked what he saw. He didn't earn it. He didn't embody it really before he started to make a shitload of money. And it is that embodiment piece. Like, I don't think everybody has to go through the same process of earning it, whatever that means. But when I can listen to you talk about the nervous system and feel how superficial it is, like, why are you guiding people into this deep, I mean, it could be re-traumatizing, honestly, work. And it's a spectacle. Like that's what people are responding to. Like they're responding to his talking head videos where he's magnetic and then the spectacle. And people think like I need this catharsis to release something from my nervous system, but it really can re-traumatize. And I'm getting intellectual because I'm avoiding something. Like what I said is true, but I'm avoiding like my feeling. And my feeling is it's not fair. It's not fair. That's the feeling. So then my complaints, and in the journal, complaints are the gateway to justice. So my complaints are that he would invite me to a coffee for free advice and consultation on something that he's making shit tons of money doing. To pick my brain. Like if you're a business person and you're making money doing this thing and you're hiring a consultant, you pay them. And then the other side of that is that so now we're getting somewhere, that I let him, right? It's not just a one-way thing. He didn't just do something to me. I let him because I was excited, because I was invited into this thing. And the truth that like here's a chunk right here. Here's a big fat fucking chunk. Is that I love doing that so much, but I don't think people would pay me for it. I mean, I have done that how many times over in my life? And sometimes there's been an exchange, but I've not been paid for it. And I've actually been dismissed in it. See, now I feel the grief again, the grief. I've been dismissed in it as if my input is not that valuable. And it's like the place that I see a lot of people do this, and I obviously do too, where like the thing we love the most, that we want to be the most engaged in, we just give it away, which has a place in the landscape of the world, like we want it in the world, so we give it away, give it away, give it away, give it away, give it away now, give it away now, give it away now. And also, at some point, we start to suffer because of that, because it's not valued, because it's not valued. And I don't have the answer to that right now. I do need to stop where I am, and I'm going to come back for the second part of this, where I get into like what would meet this? What would feel like justice to me? What would feel like clarity? What would feel like instead of just being charged up about this, I have access to the energy in it and I have neutrality around it and I can like be with it. So I'm going to come back to that.